Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we would all agree that the military is a rightly honored institution. We would not be the country we are without it. But as we've heard, and it's so true, it's not perfect, and those serving are not perfect. So it's important that there is a process in place to look at senior leader misconduct. So as we engage in the oversight of this process, and I'm grateful for this hearing, I think we have to be reassured that the process is not biased in favor of those senior leaders being investigated. So I have to say at the outset, it really concerns me that in each service, it is a general officer who functions as an inspector general. It just seems to me that there's an inherent conflict there and possibly an inherent tilt in the process in favor of the general officer. I don't necessarily want you all to comment on it, but I think it's something that we all have to take into account. But given that that is the fact, I'm curious who provides oversight of all your work and makes sure that there is no inherent bias, that it is being performed correctly to be sure that we are truly identifying misconduct and holding general officers responsible. So I'd like to start with you, Mr. Fine.
So we as the DoD OIG do provide oversight over the service IGs. We review their reports to make sure that they're thorough and complete and have done all that they should do to track the leads, to investigate, to interview the appropriate people. So we do that level of oversight. We also have begun doing what we call quality assurance reviews, similar to a peer review, to look at their processes, their procedures in a systematic way to make sure they are following the rules and regulations and they are adhering to quality standards and are doing the right thing. So we provide that oversight. One of the questions that's often asked is, well, who oversees us? We are overseen by other IGs. The SIGI has a peer review process, and we're also regularly overseen by the GAO. So there is oversight over us, and we provide oversight over them, and that's a good thing.
Do you have the ability to refer a case back if you think it hasn't been appropriately investigated?
Yes, we do, and we do that.
And how often have you had to do that?
I don't have the exact numbers, but there are occasions when we do that. We review the report, and there's times where we think they have not fully investigated or if they've reached a conclusion that's not supported by the evidence, we refer it back to them for additional work.
I don't know if each of you would like to comment how you can do your job in a way that you feel is fair-minded, given that you represent and come out of the service you're overseeing.
Yes, Congresswoman. I would just say a couple things. Number one is my last job, I was the CID commander, so when I left that job, I had 3 friends. And after this job, I have no friends. So the fact that, this is not a highly sought after, well, maybe something, a highly sought after job because we make hard calls with the DoD IG oversight is a very fair process. Just about the investigators that do a majority of my cases are civilians. So and many of them have extensive years of experience. One of my investigators has got 18 years. Another's got 10 years of these kinds of cases. So it is very well. And not only that, we have many levels of legal review of these cases to ensure we're doing due process, both for the complainant and for the subject. Once an investigation is done, legal review. After that, it goes to my lawyer. He does the legal review. After that, it goes to the Office of General Counsel for their legal review. After I've had 3 legal reviews, and I've read the case, and I understand the case, and I agree with the findings, I sign the case.
And are the findings conclusive, or can you reject the findings?
I have never rejected the findings that have been brought to me. So after all of the scrutiny that goes on with these things, I can almost exclusively say I don't think I've overturned one case that has been brought to me. I sign it, and it goes to DoD IG for their oversight review. So it is a very fair and thorough process.
So it's only somebody higher up in the chain that could reject the findings, or would likely reject.
Well, after we get done with the case, it gets adjudicated for cases, and that's what happens. Once it comes down as substantiated, we're just calling balls and strikes. We're saying, did they violate a regulation, yes or no? If the answer is yes, the substantiation holds, even if it's for small technical violations. Then it goes, after the DoD IG review, it goes over to the lawyer side of the Army, the TJAG. The TJAG basically puts the case together and brings it to the adjudicator, the Vice Chief of Staff of the Army. And the Vice Chief of Staff, under advice of counsel, holds the person accountable according to due process and according to the facts of the case and what he's been substantiated for.
Well, I appreciate, we don't have time to hear from everybody, but I do think it's deeply concerning that you are generals in the service you're overseeing, and I do think a civilian oversight perhaps would at least eliminate the appearance.
Congresswoman, we
potential
have a lot of civilian oversight, but our Army is made up of soldiers. Okay, the vast majority of our Army is soldiers. And I believe, having been a commander a number of times, I also can look at the case and also understand, you know, because again, we're representing the Army. I am the Army Inspector General. And I think from our soldiers' perspective, at least the vast majority who are soldiers and know the fact that the person calling the shots at the IG has been a former commander themselves from the time I was a captain all the way through up to my last position, I think it's important that person is a soldier, a sailor, and an airman Marine.
We could agree to disagree. Thank you. My time is
Yes,
up.
ma'am. Thank you.
Dr. Abraham, you have